The biggest lie about money? Debt makes you poor. No, using it wrong does. Because right now, the rich are getting richer using the same thing that's quietly keeping everyone else broke. You were taught one rule: avoid debt, pay everything off, stay safe. But look around. People with no debt, still stressed about money, still stuck in the same job, still one emergency away from panic. Meanwhile, some of the wealthiest people on earth are in debt, on purpose. So what's really going on? Today, we're breaking down the hidden rules of how rich people use debt to build wealth, and why most people accidentally use it to stay trapped. And rule number 3, that's where everything flips. Debt isn't the enemy. Your choices are. Most people use debt to feel rich. New phone, new car, shopping, lifestyle upgrades, quick dopamine, slow financial damage. Then the bill arrives every month like clockwork. Now flip it. Rich people use debt to create wealth. They don't ask, "Can I afford this?" They ask, "Will this generate more than it costs?" One buys things that drain money. The other buys things that produce money. Same tool, opposite results. Which one are you using right now? Here's where things get uncomfortable. If you borrow money to buy something that makes zero income, you become the repayment plan forever. But if you borrow money to buy something that earns income, the debt starts working for you. Example: an average person takes a loan, buys a car, it loses value, but the payments stay the same. A wealthy person takes a loan, buys an asset, that asset earns income, and the income covers the debt. One drains your income, the other replaces it. That's the shift from consumer to investor. But the next rule is even more powerful. If you had £50,000 today, would you spend it or multiply it? Most people spend it. Lifestyle, comfort, pressure. Rich people don't. They protect their own money and use borrowed money instead. Why? Because their money is already working somewhere else. Investments, businesses, assets. So they use leverage. They use banks and other people's money to control bigger opportunities without stopping their own growth. They don't think, "How do I avoid debt?" They think, "How do I scale with it?" That is leverage, and it changes everything. Now here's something most people never consider. Money loses value over time. Prices rise. Currency weakens. Debt stays the same. So if you borrow money today and repay it later, you're paying it back with cheaper money. Meanwhile, your assets can increase in value. So the rich don't fear long-term debt. They use time as an advantage. While others rush to pay everything off, they let inflation quietly reduce the real cost. It's like the system is slowly helping them pay it back. Now here's another key shift. Most people want ownership. No debt, no payments, full control. Sounds safe, but ownership without income still costs you. Rich people don't chase ownership first. They chase cash flow. They ask one question: does this pay me every month? Because cash flow equals freedom. You can own something outright and still lose money every month. Or you can control something with debt that pays you every month. One builds stress, the other builds options. Now think about this honestly. Is your debt building your future or funding your present lifestyle? And if cheap money was available to you tomorrow, would you know exactly how to turn it into income? Because that is the real skill behind wealth. Here's the truth no one teaches clearly. Debt is not just money you owe. It is borrowed power. And rich people don't use it randomly. They follow a system. Step 1. They borrow money at a low cost. Banks, credit, investors. Step 2. They put it into income-producing assets, property that collects rent, businesses that generate sales, investments that grow in value. Step 3. That income pays the debt back, not their salary, not their savings. The asset pays for itself. Step 4. They keep the difference. Once the debt is covered, everything left becomes profit. That is the entire system. Now, compare that to most people. They borrow money to buy things that produce no income. So their job becomes the repayment plan. Their stress becomes the interest payment. That is why it feels like a trap. So here's the real question. Are you using debt to buy things that drain you or things that pay you back? Because once you understand this cycle, you stop seeing debt as danger and you start seeing it as a tool for multiplication. And that is where wealth actually begins.